Hello, everyone. We are Kasia Kaminska and Dan Brooks, founders of GiveUpPain.com, working from the Almaguin area, helping individuals release tension, pain, and stress from their bodies since 2005. Thank you, everyone, for participating in Staycation in Almaguin. And we invite you to keep checking in back for more updates and posts at investalmaguin.ca.
Mm-hmm. In this video, Learning for the Muscles, we'll translate the signals of the body into understandable emotional releases, and then using our TRT, our Translate Release Technique, we'll help you to release those emotions from those muscle groups, and thus releasing you from your pain, and thus releasing your body from these memories. We understand that our bodies carry a lot of memories in there, these emotional wounds that happen to us, right from early childhood. And so today we're just going to focus on just the muscle group. Well, there's so much we can go into here, but today it's just the muscles. So we're going to focus on things like muscle cramps, if you're experiencing those, muscle aches, where you're getting any deep, dull, intense muscle aches, and just in general muscle problems. So we're going to give you the translation and then thereby do the tapping and release technique that we do.
Absolutely. So we love to go by the saying, no emotion lives in the body, pain-free. And so what we're going to do right now is just to translate those signals for you and to help you release them and let them go once and for all. So starting with muscle cramps. Muscle cramps can indicate quote-unquote flashbacks. They are tightening their thoughts through fear, as they tense up and maintain a hypervigilant, warm, war vet type of reactivity. They feel very unsafe in the world, and they are unable to relax and let go. It is the resultant of a warlike family environment patterning. Now let's take a breath. And let out.
That's a lot to hear sometimes.
That's a lot to hear, yeah.
So that's step one. Step one, we have to hear the message from the body. And then step two is we're going to now release our body from that message or from that event that happened, or those events, if that may be the case with you.
Yes, so please just follow along with us. We're going to say certain words, and we're going to ask that you repeat the words and just follow the actions with us.
Absolutely.
So starting on the karate chop point.
Even though I have this tightening of my thoughts because of fear,
I have this tightening of my thoughts because of fear,
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I have all these fearful flashbacks, I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I feel unsafe in my world.
Even though I feel unsafe in my world.
I deeply and completely
love
and accept myself.
Love and accept myself. Now tapping on the forehead, friends. I now release myself.
I now release myself.
From feeling unsafe in my world.
From feeling unsafe in my world. I now release myself.
I now release myself.
From all my fearful flashbacks.
From all my fearful flashbacks. On the back of the head. I now release myself.
I now release myself.
From all my patterns.
From all my patterns.
Of NAM-like family environments.
From NAM-like family environments. I now release myself.
I now release myself.
From my unsafe family environment.
From my unsafe family environment. Just by the eyes. I now release myself.
I now release myself.
From my hyper-vigilant. Reactivity.
I now release myself.
I now release myself.
From tightening my thoughts through fear.
From tightening my thoughts through fear. Just on the chin. I now release myself.
I now release myself.
And I release my beautiful body.
And I release my beautiful body.
From all these tightening thoughts.
That
keep us in fear.
I now release myself.
I now release myself.
And I release my body.
And I release my body.
From feeling unsafe in this world.
From feeling unsafe in this world. I am safe.
I am safe. I matter.
I matter. I am loved.
I am loved. I am a good person.
I am a good person. And it's safe for me to be me.
It's safe for me to be me. Now Now take a nice deep breath in, and then let it out. There you go.
Beautiful.
There you go. And we hope what you felt in there was just a little bit of relief in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And although you might not see the results right away, as we're sitting here, as you begin to move around, you might notice a sudden shift in your muscles as your muscles begin to loosen and flow with the movement of your own life. So let's keep going.
Let's keep going. The next case where this could be causing muscle cramps in your body, it reads like this. Change panic grabs. They are prone to fearful gripping and holding on in an agitated tension manner. They are holding on for dear life to some idea or feeling or situation out of a belief that to let go is to bring on disaster. They are being rather willful and stubborn, and they are refusing to move forward. It stems from a family experience in which the new and unknown was often a negative experience. It also represents having to confront issues they have been putting off for some time, perhaps lifetimes.
Oh, let's take a deep breath, everyone. Yeah. Big breath in. Let the body fill and relax.
Excuse me.
So again, it's quite a lot to take in, and we're hoping that this is resonating with you to some degree. So now we're just going to offer the relief part of the release. So just tapping on the side of your hand. Even though I am prone to fearful gripping.
I am prone to fearful gripping.
And holding my tension and agitation.
And holding my tension and agitation.
Perhaps I can forgive myself for that.
Perhaps I can forgive myself for that. Even though I am holding on.
I am holding on.
To some idea or feeling.
To some idea or feeling.
That no longer serves me.
That no longer serves me.
I deeply and completely.
I deeply and completely.
Love and accept myself.
Love and accept myself. Even though. I am holding on for dear life.
I am holding on for dear life.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Deeply and completely love and accept myself. I now release myself.
I now release myself.
From this holding on for dear life.
For this holding on for dear life. I now release myself.
I now release myself.
From my fearful gripping.
From my fearful gripping. I now release myself.
I now release myself.
From this belief that if I let it go, I'll bring on disaster.
From this belief that if I let it go, I'll bring on disaster. Just over the years, friends. I now release myself.
I now release myself.
From my change, panic grabs.
From my change, panic grabs. I now release myself.
I now release myself.
From being rather stubborn.
From being rather stubborn. I now release myself.
I now release myself.
From all my negative experience.
From all my negative experience.
And the negative tension it created.
And the negative tension it created. I now release myself.
I now release myself.
From refusing to move forward.
From refusing to move forward. I now release myself.
I now release myself.
And I release my beautiful body.
And I release my beautiful body.
From being so afraid.
From being so afraid.
And agitated.
And agitated.
And holding on to.
And holding on to.
The very issues.
The very issues.
I need to confront.
I need to confront. I am a good person.
I am a good person. I am open.
I am open. It is safe for me to feel.
It is safe for me to feel. I am ready to feel.
I am ready to feel. It is safe for me to let this go.
It is safe for me to let this go. Beautiful. And breathe. You're doing so well.
You're doing very well.
Beautiful. Again, let's keep going. Jenny?
I believe you're next.
Am I next?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely. Love.
So the next part that we're looking into is the deep, dull, intense ache and cramps we have in our muscles. So again, we're looking at the very broad general topics, but we know that at some level it all applies to each one of you because we're all undergoing rapid expansion and shifting, both inner and outer, and that is creating sensations in our bodies. So whether you're feeling the tension of your everyday stress, or whether you're feeling the tension of your evolution as you move up into higher and higher levels of consciousness, one way or another, there is sensation in your body, and a lot of the time it feels like pain. So deep, dull, intense cramp, aching in your pain can represent, quote unquote, world pain. They have a highly sensitized experience of the world's ills and evils. It is an intensely pained perceptivity and orientation. They have a lot of heart smarts. There has been deprivation, a deep need or a desire for something that is not being fulfilled. There is an aching imperative for change and fulfillment. They have an intense longing for love and a desperate need for being held, arising from a feeling of undeservingness. But they have effectively thrown in the towel on their ever getting it.
They are essentially resigned to a stoic trip in which they tend to capitulate to the fact things are never going to get any better and that they just have to bite the bullet. As a result, they tend to numb out and to grudgingly forbear things. The combination of the sense of powerlessness, the breadth and depth of their awareness, and the saturation with negativity of their childhood led to a tilt in a tragic direction. It comes from having been driven to the sidelines at an early age in an intractable, dysfunctional, and rejecting family, and from their observing everything like they were some sort of Martian.
So we'd like for you to know that oftentimes, let's say it, every single time you feel negative about yourself, it is never actually who you are. It's never the truth of who you are. It is just these dysfunctional family patterns playing themselves out in the subliminal part of our mind that gives us this sense that it's true, when all the while we should sort of kind of hold on to the idea that if something ends, if you say, I am worried or I am upset, that is not really who you are, and in that declaration, you're actually calling that into your world. So the reason we say this is that because your words are powerful, and as we
excuse me, sorry.
as we speak these releases, as we let these releases out, as we let the tension out of our body. And yes, sometimes when we're doing tapping and release, we cough, we yawn, we feel like we need to stretch, because the body is a real part of this process. This is actually why we tap on the body, because when we begin to become present, we need to include the body in this process. And when we begin to understand that the sensations we're feeling, like the pain, the intense dull and ache and cramping in your muscles, that it's not your body saying you're bad or you did something wrong.
And it's not your body being bad.
It's not, exactly.
Your body's not against you. Your body's just simply trying to send you a message.
Yeah, and your body's with you. Your body's working for you. Your body wants to be your friend. And honestly, all it's ever saying is, hey, you haven't looked over here in a long time, and I miss you, and there's this thing you've been thinking about, and it's actually hurting both of us. It's really
actually hurting us, yeah.
Yeah, it's really hurting us.
And as you keep pushing these things down and say, oh, that doesn't bother me, like these things that happened to me in my early childhood, just because they have it doesn't bother me. Oh, I rationalized that. I was just a kid and all the rest of it. But your body still feels the pain of that, and still feels the pain of that ping, if you will. And so it's trying to send you a message, and we've just forgotten how to interpret what these messages are. You know, we hear it all the time. We hear pain in the neck. Well, that person's a pain in the neck. Or, you know, we use this our own words actually describe what's going on inside our body. This is the messages that are coming out. So let's begin to tap on this to release these the source of, the seed of,
the potential of this inside you,
of what's going on inside of you. Okay.
And just one more thing before we start.
Absolutely.
when we went through all the different points there, we invite you right now to tap and release on everything, because in our practice we found that the more we release and the more willing we are to release on the things that even we kind of say, well, that kind of applies to me, but we basically understand this. If it's in my world, then I have the potential to benefit from it, but first I need to release it, because I no longer want to keep creating from that place. So let's release ourselves from all this emotional underpinning that is creating this deep, dull, intense muscle cramping and aching in our bodies.
Even though I am oversensitized
to
all the world's ills and evils. I deeply and completely
love
and accept
myself. Even though I am intensely pained by all the world pain. Perhaps I can forgive myself for housing all this pain.
Even though
I
feel a world of pain in my body.
I feel a world of pain in my body.
I deeply and completely
love
and accept myself.
I now release myself. And I release my body.
From this world of pain.
I now release myself. And I release my body. From my stoic trip.
I now release myself.
And I release my body.
From this longing for love.
I now release myself.
I now release myself.
And I release my beautiful body. From this desperate need to be held.
I now release myself.
I now release myself.
And I release my body.
And I release my body.
From feeling undeserving.
I now release myself.
I now release myself.
And I release all my muscles.
And I release all my muscles.
From our need to numb out.
From my need to numb out. That's an important one. I now release myself.
I now release myself.
And I release my body.
And I release my body.
From this sense of powerlessness.
I now release myself.
I now release myself.
And I release my body.
And I release my body.
From giving up on myself. I'm not throwing in the towel.
I am a good person.
I am a good person. I believe in myself.
I am safe now.
I flow with ease and grace.
I am love.
I am flexible and confident.
Take a nice deep breath in.
Beautiful. You're all doing so well. Thank you for tapping and releasing with us. And let's keep going. Yeah.
The last section here we want to cover is just in general muscle problems. Now we understand that if you have specific parts of your body, then that's something that we would address, individually, like an arm or a leg or any point on your back. But we're generalizing everything here tonight just as an exercise to get everybody familiar with this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To give you an opportunity to feel the benefits of this and to see the benefits in your body and to give you a chance to practice the technique that has been so incredibly beneficial for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you'll probably notice as you're tapping through this and as you review this video, you're going to find that these different categories we've been reading with you through this video right now, you're going to find and you're going to hear some similarities in there throughout all these of what your body is holding on to and what it's asking you to let go of, so that because your body wants to live a long time, it wants to thrive. It's never been against you. It's just
true.
It had the unfortunate place of being the vessel of storage for all these emotions, the memory bank, if you will, and but without a voice to be heard.
Exactly.
So its only voice has ever been to signal you through pain and to signal you through these aches and all that.
Yeah. And speaking of signals, we often think that the brain is the predominant carrier of signals and the one in charge, but in reality, the body sends up 5 times more signals than the brain than the brain
yeah.
does to the body. So in actuality, the body is in charge, and the sensations of the body are the way we communicate not only with our inner world but also with the outer world as well. So it's a really important part of our overall development to begin to understand and to begin to have a more open dialogue with our bodies, and to, more than anything, to remove that feeling that there's something wrong with you. Friends, there was never anything wrong with you.
Never anything wrong with you.
You just had things happen to you.
Absolutely.
And what we are, like Danny was saying just a moment ago, these patterns that we're seeing, you know, the feeling of powerlessness, the feeling unsafe, the feeling not loved, these are all very predictable patterns that give us very predictable results. And when you are in a place where you haven't been listening for a while, it does begin to feel like pain. So let's just keep that in mind. There's no bad guys here. The body loves you.
Absolutely.
It depends on you to keep living, so it wants to be here.
And it's important to understand, too, how you feel is far more important than what you think. Now, I know that sounds kind of odd, but
Yeah,
just
it's
please,
true.
please run with it, because we've discovered that we offer a program called the Feeling Path Illuminated for people that want to really overcome dive in and overcome all their adverse childhood experiences that they've experienced earlier on in life.
Plus.
And the overall message in this is that this is a feeling path, not a thinking path. And oftentimes we're always trying to outthink our body, and our body is definitely giving us messages, and it just doesn't work that way. If we learn how to become more in harmony, more one-minded, you know, from here to here,
All the way down.
yeah, if we become more one-minded, then we'll be able to find our way through life a lot easier with a lot less challenges than that also.
Most definitely.
So are we ready?
Yeah, so I think this one's yours.
you know,
Yeah.
so the last category here, muscle problems, quote unquote, hunkering down in the bunker. They're resistant to new experiences, and they refuse to move on in life. Unsettling memories are surfacing, and they must confront issues that have been long put off. They are having great difficulty coordinating the execution of things, integrating ideas of what is wanted to be accomplished with the pragmatic results they are getting, and dealing with the feelings and issues associated with success. They have little sense of competence and confidence. They are having significant problems in mobility, flexibility, and activity.
Either way, they have to be extremely inhibited and careful in all they do, or they are immobilized and unable to take action. It arises from an intensely self-distrust inducing keep them around the old homestead family, who program them to be simultaneously super successful for the family only and to otherwise fail. They have come up to cropper in reaction to the reemergence of continued confrontation with this dilemma, and it is effectively immobilizing them. So it's like we're being immobilized by the very fears we're feeling.
Better get to take a breath.
Take a big breath, everyone.
Take a big breath in.
That was a big one. And yeah.
There we go.
Okay, here we go. Even though I've been hunkering down in the bunker, I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Even though I keep ignoring all these unsettling memories
that are surfacing.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Even though I am deeply resisting all my new experiences. Perhaps I can forgive myself for that.
I now release myself from putting off all these issues I need to confront.
I now release myself from isolating and holding down in the bunker.
I now release myself from having difficulty executing things.
I now release myself
I now release myself
from feeling unconfident
from feeling unconfident
and incompetent.
and incompetent. I now release myself
I now release myself
from my inability to be flexible.
from my inability to be flexible. I now release myself
I now release myself
from my self-distrust
from my self-distrust
and my simultaneous
and my simultaneous
immobility.
immobility. I now release myself
I now release myself
from all those family events
from all those family events
that made me feel less than
that made me feel less than
and immobilized.
and immobilized by them. I now release myself
I now release myself
from being constantly in dilemma mode.
from being constantly in dilemma mode. I am a good person.
I am a good person. It is safe for me to feel.
It is safe for me to feel. There was never anything wrong with me.
There is never anything wrong with me. It is safe for me to have new experiences.
It is safe for me to have new experiences. It is good to be flexible.
It is good to be flexible. It feels good to move forward in my life.
It feels good to move forward in my life. Wonderful. Take a nice breath in.
Yeah. And we're all doing so well.
Awesome job.
Beautiful. Well done, everyone. This has always been a gentle process. We want you to get the idea that it doesn't have to hurt in order to release the trauma of our past. It's about being brave enough to go in there one more time, to say the words with feeling, and to truly release yourself that one last time, to give yourself the relief indefinitely.
Oh, yes. And your body will reward you immensely. It is amazing how all of a sudden these conditions that we see,
Yes.
chronic conditions in
Yes.
people, just just begin to slowly reverse themselves back out of the body again, as people tap and release these emotions and release themselves from these events, and gain for themselves a new understanding of all these things that happened in the families. Now, we're not saying all families were bad or by any means.
No.
But we were brought up in a lot of dysfunctional ways, and these dysfunctional ways actually left a mark inside of us. So if we can resolve these things by the understanding and knowledge that we have, and by these beautiful techniques that we're so gratefully got to share with you here throughout this video, as we do that, and we can move towards leading a more fuller and richer and pain-free life.
And most definitely. And we want to encourage you to have an uplifted point of view, and to remind yourself often that in most circumstances we just didn't know. We really didn't know how emotions impact our physical body. We really didn't know that if we think negative thoughts, it results in pain in our body. And we also didn't know that when we punished ourselves because we thought we weren't getting it right, or we thought that things were working out for us the way they should, that in actuality we were creating dis-ease in our body simply by the saying of those negative words. And so we're learning all these new things, and we're learning to translate these signals better and to not take it personally. So once again, we invite you to love your body through this process. Nothing's going wrong. Nothing is broken within you. Your body is healing. It's evolving. It has the potential now more than ever before to heal and to shift and to change in ways that are surprising and absolutely delightful. So keep tapping and releasing. Try out this technique. It's a phenomenal technique. The only way it doesn't work is if you don't use it. So we encourage you to use it often. We like to call it our little correct and continue tool, because it literally gets you out of time and back into the moment, and correcting and continuing.
Absolutely. This is an opportunity for you, as we were saying, to feel your way back into your life again. Please understand, you have a lot of thought habits. You've been beating yourself up for an awfully long time, and what we're asking you is to try something different and work your way out of these habits of thinking, because this isn't who you are, and it's never who you have been. Remember, there was never anything wrong with you. You had things happen to you. So if you would like to connect with Cash and I, and then please just reach out to us at giveuppain.com. You can also see some of the other programs that we have there. We're on YouTube at Give Up Pain Now on YouTube, or on Facebook if you want to connect there. And there's always videos to watch and things to join in on and conversations to have. And we're so grateful and thankful that we got to share this time with you here.
Yes. Now, Danny, I'd like to offer our friends one last release before we go.
Oh, certainly.
To really help them on their way. And let's release them from the doubt that this, in fact, will work for them.
Oh, that's a good
Okay,
one.
so we're just going to jump in. This is just to give you a little way in so that you can help yourself to release the very own doubt in yourself that this actually can work for you. So we'll use the tool to help ourselves. So even though I doubt that this is going to work for me,
I doubt that this is going to work for me.
I deeply and completely
Love
and accept myself.
Love and accept myself. Even though I doubt that this is going to work for me.
Even though I doubt that this is going to work for me.
Nothing ever does.
Nothing ever does.
I deeply and completely
love
and accept myself.
Love and accept myself. Even though I doubt.
Even though I doubt.
And I'm really afraid.
That
this won't work for me.
Perhaps I can forgive myself for that. I now release myself. From doubting that this will work for me.
From doubting that this will work for me. I now release myself. From all my doubt. That this will work for me.
I now release myself. From all these habits of being a doubter.
I now release myself. From doubting my own potential and abilities.
I now release myself. From always doubting myself.
I now release myself.
And I release my body.
From all these chemical patterns.
That
keep me doubting myself.
I now release myself.
From
all my doubt and worry.
I now release myself. And I release my beautiful body. From doubting that this will work for me.
I am free to think my own thoughts.
I am open. I am ready.
I am willing to learn. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you so much.
And we'll be seeing you soon in another video.
Absolutely. And have a beautiful day, everyone.